Hi guys, my name's Becca and welcome to my YouTube channel. Some of you might not know this about me, actually a lot of you might not know this about me. I actually used to have a video up on this channel before my first video was up on this channel. I made it pre-pandemic and at the end of first year, and now I'm currently coming up to the end of my third year. And it was the only video on my channel for a long time, and the content was regarding tips for freshers that are going up to university. So I have recently rediscovered this video and I thought it would be interesting now I am older and much wiser, having done a research project, whether I still agree with the advice that I gave to freshers about 2 years ago. Cool. Hi, I'm Becca and I'm going into my second year of vet school. This means I made it through Freshers Week. So I have a few tips for the new incoming freshers. My first tip. First off, you can see how uncomfortable I was, and you can see sometimes at the beginning of this channel, like 4 videos ago, like I was uncomfortable then, but you can see how even more uncomfortable I was in this video. Because you don't have to stay friends with whoever you make friends with in freshers. I found people on my course before I went to, got to vet school. I had one girl who went out in my flat who I then became friends with people from her course and stuff like that. To be honest, once I started making friends on my own course later on in the year, I didn't really see the friends that I hung out with in freshers throughout the year. Maybe in the streets you'd say hi and stuff, and we shared an accommodation campus. But everyone says that your freshers friends aren't probably going to be the ones that you stick with. The next tip. So, yeah, I agree with that, because I'm actually at the end of my third year, and in the middle of my third year, I pretty much just changed my whole friend group. Adding on to it, I think if you don't make friends in freshers, who cares? You will make friends. So, yeah, I agree with that tip. Is kind of leading on from that, I said that I had one friend from in my flat who liked to go out. Even if your flat isn't anything like you, it's not the end of the world. So I went to my flat. And I think, like I said, I wanted to experience that out. I've just turned 18. I was quite young in my year. And so I only had one girl who wanted to go out, or even just... It's funny because when I first got to university, going out was I think because it was ingrained in you from being at college and stuff, because I didn't have a gap year or anything, that going out was sort of the whole university experience, and people would literally go to university just for the party experience. And funnily enough, by the end of my first year, even though I filmed this video after, and especially in my second year, I just didn't really end up going out. Obviously it's a pandemic now, but when there wasn't, I just kind of just wasn't into it as much anymore. So you'll find your people, even if you don't want to go out, don't worry about it. Do stuff. There were 6 of us in the flat, the other 4 I don't think I spoke to for the whole year. But it was okay, I got through it, and it didn't really make that much of an effect on my vet school life, because like I said earlier, you'll make friends on your course. And it's especially helpful if they're on your accommodation, but Surrey has 2 accommodation campuses. It's got the main campus and Manor Park where the vet school is. And I made friends through football, one of them on my course, one of them not, and they both lived at Stag Hill, and we remained friends for the whole year. We live together next year. It's not that big a deal. Tip 3. Just adding on to that, yeah, I also agree with that. It's not a big deal if you don't make friends with your flat. It's good to be friendly with your flat. So one night I got locked out of my flat after a night out when I used to go out, and one of my flatmates took me to reception and helped me get back into my room. So yeah, definitely be friendly with them, because if they need help or you need help, at least you've got someone to go to. But yeah, it's fine if you're not best buddies with them. And also, university's not all about friends. You're there to get a degree, and 3 years goes by so fast. Always buy the freshers wristbands. So I bought the I don't agree with this tip anymore, but I will discuss after. Wristband before I got there. Buy the official university one. You don't want any the clubs in town, because the majority of the freshers events will be occurring at the student union, if you have one. I'm not sure, London universities and non-campus unis have one, so yeah, always buy the wristband if there's the option to. Also, leading on from this, kind of LinkedIn, always look to see if you're, before you go, see if your university is doing freshers events, and look into it, because I know I got there and people hadn't even looked into it, and then they spent their whole freshers week queuing because they made friends that had the wristbands and could go straight in. So you don't want to have like the not knowing of whether you're going to get into a good event. Like we had Scout with Girls at ours and that sold out, and a lot of people didn't get in. So you just got to like, I would say buy the wristband if you can afford to.
So I half agree with that and half don't. So I definitely don't think you need to buy the wristband, especially if you're only planning on going out on like 1 or 2 nights. I think this was coming from a point of view of someone who went out all nights but one. And then yeah, it's worth buying the wristband. I definitely think it's worth finding out if your university are doing freshers events. I think that is good advice, because like I said, people didn't even know about the freshers events and then were spending their whole time queuing up because they wanted to go out every night. But there's no shame in like not wanting to go out and not wanting to experience a Freshers Week sort of club events. There's so many events going on Freshers Week that even if you don't go to the club, you've got ample experiences to experience, I guess.
Tip 4, so as you can see in the corner, I have a TV. I did bring it to university. A TV isn't always necessary. You can have your laptop, you can have like your iPad, anything like that. You don't really need a TV. I did buy a TV license for mine, which is kind of expensive as well, so you've all got to factor in all of that. But like I said earlier, my flat was quite quiet, so there are people who say they don't use it, and I think that's more people who have a really social flat, who they sit in the kitchen with, talk with, whereas my flat, if I was in for the night and it wasn't a Wednesday, so it wasn't socials with football or anything like that, or I wasn't at one of my friends from my courses or anyone like that, I found having a TV really helpful. Also quite a big distraction, so if you get easily distracted, maybe a TV is not the best idea. But, as on to tip 5.
I also don't agree with this now, I don't think. Like, that's still the same TV that I had before. I don't think it's necessary. I think a laptop suffices, and most times you'll need a laptop for your course anyway. I don't think I can think of any sort of university experience that you don't need a laptop for anymore. But that being said, you don't need a great laptop. It's just a lot of the times especially in the pandemic, you're on Zoom all the time. So yeah, I don't think you need a telly. Not many people I knew had a telly. Yeah, probably don't need to bring a telly. That was weird advice, so moving on.
That you don't have to overpack unless you're coming from like an outside country and it's going to be really hard for you to go home and get more stuff and bring stuff over. Take what you
just quickly, also if you're not coming from an outside country and it's just difficult for you to get home, yeah, pack more. Like I don't know why like international students just came straight to my head. Like if you're in university down south and you're in like right up north or like Scotland, yeah, bring everything you can.
Think you might need, and if you're not sure, leave it at home, see if you miss it, and then next time you go back, bring it. So for example, the TV, if you don't think you're going to need it, then you get there and you find your flat's not very sociable, you find that it's just not all going right and you think that you'd want a TV, then you can bring the TV later. It's not a big deal. And also your TV license is free.
That's good advice, but only if it's sort of possible. But yeah, I brought everything and the kitchen sink to my uni, and I think half of it stayed underneath my bed for the whole year, and then packing up took like 3 days. So, I mean...
Yeah, but you can swap the addresses on it. So I've just swapped mine to my new accommodation now. So my next tip...
Also, for legal reasons, police, I would always buy a TV license. I have never been without a TV license in my life. Definitely always buy the TV license.
Would be join a society. So in Freshers Week, they'll have this thing called a Freshers Fair, which is going to be my next tip. Go to the Freshers Fair. You get freebies, you meet people, it's really great. There, they'll be advertising all the societies. Now, there you can sign up for their taster session, which will go on. We had an active Freshers Day on the Saturday. Go just do loads of taste sessions. I did taste session of rugby and also football because those were the 2 sports I was interested in. I'm sure like non-sports have taste sessions too, but I'm not too sure about that because I didn't join any, and this is just really how Surrey works, but I'm sure it's very similar everywhere. So yeah, just join societies, you'll find like-minded people.
I'm not gonna lie, like this advice that I gave at the end of Freshers, it's very like do this, do that, do that. But honestly, I think what I've learned from sort of growing up a little bit, and it's only been like 2 years, but I have grown up a little bit in my mindset, I think. Live your uni experience how you want to live it. There's no set way. If you don't want to join a society, don't join a society. If you don't want a bunch of friends, don't go out your way to make a bunch of friends. Like, people will say friends, partying, all this stuff, societies. But if that's not how you want to live your university experience and you'd rather just sort of like focus on your work, go home at weekends, if that's how you want to live your life, you do you. Don't let people tell you how to sort of live your university experience.
Well, it's just the best way to make friends. The next tip that I have, kind of moving on from that, is try to find your course mates beforehand. So vet school, I think, is a little bit different to every other course because you're almost, they really promote it as being like a family. So they'll have vet group chats like of your cohort.
That's true. They do promote it as a family and they will have their group chats, but I think literally every course pretty much at Surrey had a group chat before you went. But also if you weren't in the group chat, it doesn't matter. And I found that going through the years, people have actually left the group chat because it's a bit too much for them. Yeah, they definitely do promote it as being a family. They'll really promote vet families and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, like, I know other people have had different experiences with it and it could just be my personality. I'm very introverted. But my vet parents, I never saw again after the first vet families meeting, and my vet children, I never saw again after my first vet families meeting. I really struggle to put myself out there and sort of make the first step because I'm quite introverted. So maybe that was where I went wrong. And also, leading on from that, I really struggled with the mentality that you sort of have at secondary school, and I still do, where I would get really intimidated talking to older people, so people from the years above me. So as a fresher, I found it really intimidating to talk to people in the years above me because I felt really young and like they didn't want to talk to me. And at university, most of the times that I've seen, especially in sort of societies and stuff, they don't have that same mindset. So this is sort of your signal to not care if they're the year older than you, because as well, like, you could be a first year but you could be 30, and you could be a second year or a third year and you could literally be 20. So age at university doesn't matter anymore and people just make friends with who they sort of click with. But yeah, that sort of mentality I think is more in your own head than is anyone else's head.
By the university, well, our one at least, whereas I think other courses are more, someone makes it and then everyone joins it from like the Facebook pages and stuff like that. But try and find one, and then you can just see who's talking. You can get a feel for all the people on the course, see who you might want to be friends with, see who you might want to avoid. I found a girl from the cohort group chat because I made a really good friend.
Just on the who you want to be friends with, who you want to avoid, that was just a joke. Like, don't judge a book by its cover, but it does give you the feel for people who you might click with the best, and you can sort of keep an eye out for them. But
from my interview day, who I'm like best friends with, like, for the year, I became best friends with for the year, but she wasn't going to get to the Freshers Week until like the Tuesday, so I had 4 days where I didn't know anyone. So I found a girl on the group chat that I seemed quite like-minded to.
I said I was like best friends with her for the rest of the year. I am no longer friends with her, so I guess that just puts proof in that your freshest friends aren't your friends for the rest of your university experience sometimes. Okay, moving on swiftly.
Seemed really, really nice. It was just like a nice, and I think she felt the same. It was like a nice little security blanket. You always had someone who you could go out with, so that was nice. Or just like talk to, figure things out with. It was great. The next thing is, this I didn't do, and I kind of wish I did. So take a day to figure out the town. Me and my mum, when we went to the interview days and the offer holders days, we went into the town, had a look around. But by myself or with some friends, I didn't go into the town for probably 2 months. Probably a bad idea. I ended up getting a bit like almost scared of going into the town because I didn't know how the buses worked. I hadn't figured anything out. I didn't know where to get buses from when I was in town. So take a day to figure it out, take some friends. It will be a good bonding activity.
I think that's pretty sick advice.
One more thing is, well, 2 more things. The first thing, I actually sold a Halsey ticket because I wanted to be there for the first day of freshers. I thought it would be a very meaningful day. Like, that's where all your friendships are made. Like, your flat, if you're not there on the first day, your flat will,
worst mistake of my life.
I hate you, everything like that. Honestly, it wouldn't have made a difference if I got there on the second day. Like I said, my friend got there on the fourth day of freshers, and her and her flat were really close. I got there on the first day, and me and my flat weren't friends. So, if you have a Halsey ticket, go to it. And the last thing is,
yeah, sound advice. Worst mistake of probably that entire year, not going to that concert. I went to a Halsey concert before the Rona hit, and it actually just made me more sad that I didn't go to the concert on the first day of freshers, because Halsey, man.
I did start off by going to lectures and everything, but figure out if lectures are compulsory. If you have a really jam-packed timetable like Vet Med does, if they're not compulsory, don't feel shamed into having to go. So I started going probably in about week 5, because it's what works for me. I'm not very much an early morning person. All of the lectures were in the morning. I would have really struggled if I went to every single lecture. I know people were getting burnt out and everything like that, so I know this isn't strictly freshers.
Okay, that was a very naive viewpoint, I think. I do agree, you shouldn't feel shamed into going to the lectures. I think that is very good advice. What this tiny naive Becca did not know is that in the second year she would suffer horribly with her mental health and would not go to any single lecture and fail pretty much a whole module. So maybe don't take that advice. And yeah, it wasn't all I was cracked up to be, because I was like, oh yeah, I haven't gone to any lectures. Oh yeah, I passed with like 60s, 70s. Yeah, first year you did, because it was like vet prof, which was essentially communication skills and stuff like that, which a lot of us already have. But as soon as you hit like the life cycles of a parasite, yeah, maybe you want to go and look up that in the actual lecture time. So yeah, take that one with a pinch of salt.
But if they're not compulsory, you don't have to go to everyone. Don't be
That is what not compulsory means. Thank you.
shamed into going to everyone. Okay, and I think that's all of my tips. If anyone has any tips that I've forgotten or missed out, or I just didn't experience myself, please comment down below. This is my first video, so if you have found this, thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe, I guess.
To all the 17 people that found that, thank you.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day.
I mean, yeah. As you can see, my mindset kind of really grew over the sort of 2 years since I've made that video. I definitely had a lot more struggles in the second year than I did in the first year. And I think the main thing to take away, if you take away anything from this, is sort of just experience university how you want to experience it. There's no right or wrong way to experience university. And I think when you think you're the shit in the first year of freshers, you're not. And half the stuff you think is important, and this is going for me, like in that video, like I thought it was the shit because I was going to football and stuff like that, but I wasn't experiencing the university how I wanted to experience it. I was experiencing it because I thought that's what made you cool, and that's how you should experience it to make you cool. And what I've sort of realised now is just experience it how you want to, for you to have fun, because I'm a lot more happier now for doing that. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what your tips for freshers are, because I think that would be really helpful to sort of share them around. And yeah, subscribe if you would like to. I make videos sort of once a week, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Okay, bye!